Hello everyone, this is Gene and I'm back with another video. So as I've been working on this video, I have calmed down. I'm in a much more relaxed, more even-keeled emotional state. So content will be moving on as normal. So I wanted to do something that for me is a bit lighthearted because I don't have a lot of interest in the Mortal Kombat film. I am very much a fan of the film that came out in 1995. I feel that's for me that when it comes to live action movies for Mortal Kombat, that's all that I need. I don't acknowledge Annihilation, and for me, that's it. But again, if you are interested in this movie, good for you. I hope you enjoy it. But I wanted to do a video on two things that I found a bit silly, uh, which is the Jezebel article, the Jezebel article that was wondering about the inclusion of Chun Li. No, I'm not joking. This Jezebel article actually literally asks, "Where is Chun Li?" And the second one is the casting of Mileena and possibly Kitana, who knows, for this movie. So, as always, I hope everybody's well, and let's get into it. So, Mortal Kombat movie silliness part 1. Where's Chun Li? So I saw this earlier, and honestly, I honestly thought that initially it was a joke, because Twitter, it's easy to doctor articles, and when I first saw this, I was like, no, this has to be somebody either joking, or it's a satire website, or something to that effect. But this appears to be a sincere article, sincerely bad, that is, but it's from Jezebel, a supposedly feminist website. That's quite literally what it says up there. A supposedly feminist website, right? And the tagline or the title is "Who forgot to invite Chun Li to the Mortal Kombat?" Who forgot to invite the first lady of fighting games from Street Fighter to Mortal Kombat, which is an entirely different franchise, made in an entirely different country. Street Fighter is made in Japan. Mortal Kombat's made in America. Was for years made in Chicago back when NetherRealm Studios was Midway. But anyway, this was written by Shannon Melero, and it reads, it's a very short article, so, and it reads, oh, here's actually a picture of Sonya, right? Nice. Sonya, okay, whatever. I don't know who she's beating up. Possibly Kano. Most likely Kano. But the picture doesn't show the man's face. We just see a tattooed arm. So it's either a thug or it's Kano. Right? So then we have this article. This is the beginning of the article. Cinema's back, baby, and in a big way. Forget the auteur films of award season where two people stand at the edge of a cliff somewhere in Great Britain, pining for each other but never finding a way to make their relationship work. There is a new Mortal Kombat hitting HBO Max, and life is effing good. Scorsese is shaking in his oversized spectacles watching, probably for the 14th time, the trailer for the latest film version that brings to life the gore of the original video game. So you mean this? The original 1992 video game? And you mean this one? Mortal Kombat 2? The original 1994 video game? We're talking about the OG of OGs? Or we're talking about the more modern one from '09? Which original are we talking about? Because I really hope you're talking about these. I really do. But anyway, where was I? Here we go. The trailer itself is worthy of at least 2 Oscars for its special effects and stunt coordination, specifically for the preview of a scene where Sub-Zero turns his enemy's blood into a knife. What? All I have to say to that, honey, is did you not see the scene in the '95 film where he literally froze a man who was doing a flying kick at him? It's one of the coolest scenes in the film, and it's very early. This dude does all these stupid, kung fu style, karate, martial arts style poses, and Sub-Zero's just like. And then when the guy runs and does a flying kick, Sub-Zero just freezes him, moves, and then the dude just literally crashes and falls into, bloody ice shards in the wall behind him. But yeah, that's just me. But I get it. Like this article is meant to be a bit on the glib side and lighthearted and fine, but don't make a fool of yourself, even if you're going to be glib and lighthearted. So, it says here, being the astute film critic that I am, I immediately clocked a glaring error in the film. Where in all the realms is Chun Li? You are in the wrong fighting game series, honey. Unless there's a crossover I didn't hear about. Speaking of which, why haven't we had a Street Fighter Mortal Kombat crossover? The two biggest fighting games of the 1990s. Why haven't they done this yet? They have Marvel versus everything. They have Marvel. They have SNK versus Capcom. They have Capcom versus Tekken. Why haven't we done Street Fighter versus Mortal Kombat yet? Capcom, NetherRealm, get to talking. But anyway, where in all the realms is Chun Li? If I were to start singing the Carmen Sandiego theme song, would that be appropriate? But anyway, if there is a battle for the fate of Earth, then don't we need all the greatest warriors gathered, which would include Chun Li and her spinning bird kick that can knock a man's head clean off? Well, Johnny Cage's super uppercut can do that too. I'm just saying. Sounds like a pretty big plot hole to me that the ultimate street fight is not a street fight. Again, you're confusing things, honey. Mortal Kombat is a series of death matches, not street fights. It is supposed to be won by a ragtag team helmed by Sonya Blade. Sonya leads soldiers because she's a lieutenant in the special forces. She doesn't lead a ragtag team. No offense to the Sonya stands. Absence of Chun-Li aside, she was never going to show up, honey. You might want to do some research. The trailer is the dog's bollocks, a term I learned from watching The Bridge, also on HBO Max if you're into competition shows, and the extremely bloody, action-packed film, which is a super realistic study on the cross-section of Kung Fu and elemental magic, will premiere on April 16th. Choose your fighter wisely. Yeah, agree. Yes, choose your fighter wisely. For me, it's Sub-Zero all day, every day. In particular, the MK3 version of Sub-Zero, where he had like 5 different special moves, including that dope AF Sky Ice move, and the Ice Clone, and the slide, and everything else. He was so OP in 3. I love that game. But anyway, let's continue. And then we have the end of the article update. At 4:39 p.m., Jezebel has discovered the answer to our question about Chun-Li's erasure. You cannot erase what was never there. She's not... How in the world do you erase a character who's never been in the game? You are totally... And it is that Chun-Li is not part of the Mortal Kombat Megaverse. No. It's the Mortal Kombat universe. Okay, Mortal Kombat franchise. Same way Sonya is not in Street Fighter. Get it right. How do you get this wrong? Right? Wow. Right, and again, Shannon Melero, everybody. Staff writer for Jezebel. Now, guess what this runs into? Do all Asian women look alike? Which is the first thing that came to my mind once I read this, because the first thing I thought was, okay, so we have a staff writer from Jezebel, who apparently is so unfamiliar with long-running fighting game franchises. Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat have been around. Street Fighter at this point is actually over 30 years, because it started in the late 80s. And Mortal Kombat is coming up on 30 years, because the first game came out in 1992. And we're in 2021, so I think next year is going to make, what, 30 years? So games that are around the 30-year mark, if not a little over. And she can't be bothered, apparently, to even Google these characters' names. Mortal Kombat characters, Street Fighter characters, Chun Li, which game is she in? None of that. None of that, right? And given the update, I don't think for a second that she was just being jokey or funny and intentionally misplacing or misunderstanding Chun Li's non-existent role in Mortal Kombat. So, from my perspective, right, and again, I cannot read the woman's mind, but From my perspective, it seems like she saw Chun Li and thought, hey, here's an Asian woman who wears blue. And then looked at Mortal Kombat 11 and went, hey, here's an Asian woman that wears blue. They must be the same person. Mamma mia. So yeah, nice, nice going, honey. Nice going. You totally ran into all Asians look alike, and you couldn't even do enough research to realize that the two characters you're comparing, right, um, are from totally different franchises, right? And I don't know why Kitana hasn't been featured in the trailer yet. Don't really care. But please do not confuse Kitana with Chun Li and Chun Li with Kitana. But she did mention something about Mortal Kombat and death matches and being the old school fighting game Street Fighter connoisseur that I am. The first thing that came to my mind, if she wants a more realistic depiction of a death match, of a fight for one's life uh, involving Chun Li, well, then there's always the legendary Chun Li Vega fight in the Street Fighter II film from the early to mid 1990s. Right? Here's a very real, literal definition of Mortal Kombat. Right? When a professional assassin has come after you and broken into your home while you were in the shower. Right? One of the most amazing fight scenes for me in all of animation. Right? All of especially anime. Right? So yeah, you want Mortal Kombat involving Chun Li? Watch this scene. Watch the whole film, ideally, because it's still an amazing movie that, for me, I think is just a video game anime classic. But this fight scene in particular, it's always been one of my favorite scenes. In part because the stakes are so high, right? It's not just for honor or for glory or for even revenge, which is Chun Li's typical motivation, right? She wants to arrest Bison or kill Bison, bring Bison to justice because he murdered her father, right? And that motivation is apparent in this film too. But here she has to literally fight for her life. The only sad part about this is that, as anybody who's seen this film knows, is that after this fight, she's pretty much out of the film for the rest of the movie because she's very realistically in the hospital, uh, fighting for her life, right, trying to not die from the gruesome injuries that Vega inflicts upon her. But if Miss Shannon Melero is looking for a death match, is looking for Mortal Kombat, is looking for a fight to the death involving Chun Li, well, I certainly recommend this scene. In fact, I have it linked in the description for the video. So, checks it out. So there's that. That was the first bit of silliness that I saw, and I just had to comment on it because it was just too juicy not to. And then there's the second one, right? Which is Mortal Kombat movie silliness part 2. Will the real Mileena please stand up? Now, I want to say on the outset that there's actually going to be a lot of references to Kitana in this section, but given that uh, Mileena is Kitana's clone, right? To reference Kitana is to pretty much reference Mileena also, because they are essentially the same person, except one is evil and has very, very scary teeth, right? So just understand that if you're concerned about the lack of Mileena images, right? But here we go. So, right, part one. Yes, I've broken this out into 3 parts. Part one. Where are her teeth? Right. Now, I saw this poster, I think last night online. I wasn't initially going to really do a reaction to it. And then I saw the Mortal Kombat article and I figured, well, I can sort of blend the two into one video, and that's what I'm doing here. So, Mileena here is being played by Sissy or Cece Stringer, right? And the first thing I noticed, aside from the big old sai in her hand, is the distinct lack of the teeth for the character of Mileena. Now, I did see another this image online, right? And again, we have the distinct lack of teeth. You see, you kind of sort of need the teeth because ever since Mortal Kombat 2, you know the video game where Kitana and Mileena originally debuted, Mileena has always had a very visual, or rather, I should say, a distinct visual element, something that separates her from Kitana aside from wearing pink or purple all the time, and that is the teeth, right? If you're familiar with Mortal Kombat lore, you know that Mileena's actually a clone of Kitana. She's incomplete, imperfect because of Tarkatan essence, which of course gives her her vicious nature and them champas. As you can see, you know, there are distinct visual for her. Well, I'm not gonna say no one else in the game because Baraka, but certainly no other female in the game has teeth like this. And again, they are the distinct visual difference between Kitana and Mileena. Hence why throughout the games, Mileena is often shown with a veil or a mask, right? So is Kitana, but for different reasons, right? Kitana was hiding her identity and face because of the mystery, right? The mystery of the ninja and everything, and being a professional assassin, right? Mileena did it because, well, obviously you're gonna tell it's not Kitana if you can see them teeth, right? So we need the teeth. And what do we get? No teeth. We get no teeth. I don't want human teeth. I have human teeth. I wanted these champas. This is what I expect. You're telling me that a movie production cannot use practical effects, makeup, and special effects to create this, and they're just gonna punk out, in my opinion, and just give us this? No, 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 no. Now, maybe in the film proper it'll be different, but all I can go by right now are these images, and well, again, I am unimpressed. That is a very, these teeth are a very distinct visual element for Mileena. They are just as important as the scar over uh, Sub Zero the second, let's say. Sub Zero the second's eye, right? That's her thing. That's what separates her from every other woman in the game. And to take that away is to not be true to the design of the character, and don't give me that BS about, oh, you know, we can't have her wear, you know, a mouthpiece or whatever that would make the teeth look good. Cosplayers could do this better. Okay, I expect better. Even for a film I'm not gonna watch, I expect better. If only for the fact that I come from the old school. I rep the old school. If you're gonna take an old school character, you better do it right. If you're gonna put an old school character in a modern film, do it right. So there's that. So that's part one. We need better teeth. Now, part two. Is this a good idea? Right now, let's address the elephant in the room. Right? Miss Stringer is African American. No issue with that. I have no issue in and of itself with her ethnicity, quite obviously. We are similar, let's say, because I'm not 100% black, but that's not the issue here. What I'm worried about, right, is I guess one could say how problematic this could be, right? If you use progressive logic, then one has to wonder why, out of all the female, especially black female characters in the Mortal Kombat franchise, you have Jackie Briggs, you have Jade, you have Tanya. Out of all of the black female characters in the series, you decide to cast a black woman as the violent savage who licks blood and who chews people's face off and has a murderous, wants to kill her sister, right? I say murderous intent, but it isn't intent. She really is trying to kill her, right? Hates her much more beautiful sister so much that she wants to kill her and replace her. Do you really think that you should be casting a black woman in this role, given the social pressures, right? And how bad this could look, right? Because again, this is progressive logic, right? You are casting a black woman to play a violent savage here, right? Or you just could have just stuck with what the character looks like and just could have, casted, I guess what now, an Asian woman or whatever, since she's already Asian in the game, right? But now you want to put a black woman in this role with the incredibly sensitive, um, progressive, reactive mindset of social media. You think it's a good idea to cast a black person as the violent savage, as the violent psychotic savage, not as the loyal, friend to Kitana, not even as the beautiful but manipulative uh, Tanya, or, as the heroic, Jackie Briggs, daughter of, a powerful black male soldier who loves his country and loves his people, like Jax. No, you go with Savage. Which is funny given that I was accused of calling BLM savages, but I already addressed that. I'm not going to bring it up here again. But still, I'm just saying. I get accused of calling BLM savages, and by extension calling black savages. Yet we have a film that's going to air on HBO that's literally cast a black woman as the violent savage character. At the very least, again, I don't know if this woman is playing Mileena. I would assume she is. Sorry, not Mileena. I take that back. We already know she's playing Mileena. I don't know if she's playing Kitana. I would imagine she is because the whole twinsies thing. But I don't understand Hollywood or movies no more. All I'm saying is that this looks like a really 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 ill thought out idea from my perspective. Just saying. And then we have part two. What the hell is Kitana Mileena's ethnicity anyway? So I'm going to go through a little bit of history of the various ethnic backgrounds that the character of Princess Kitana, and by extension Mileena, has had throughout the games up until now. So we're going to start with Mortal Kombat 2, which is the video game that they debuted in. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, in Mortal Kombat 2, Kitana and Mileena were portrayed by Catalin Rodriguez Zamiar, right? One would imagine, given her last name is Rodriguez Zamiar, she's Latina, right? Okay, so this was her back in the day, back in 1994, her unmasked face, right, in Kitana's ending. Then we had the MK3 Ultimate 3 trilogy era, where the character of Kitana and Mileena was portrayed by a woman named Becky Gale. I believe it is. Becky Gale. And Becky, to my knowledge, is white. I haven't found anything specifically stating like what country or anything, but to my knowledge, she's white. Okay, so we have that, right? So trilogy era, played by a white woman. Then of course there was Talisa Soto, who played Princess Kitana in the 1995 Mortal Kombat film, and I think for most people my age, right, us mid 80s babies, 90s kids, she's probably the definitive live action Princess Kitana. Speaking of which, NetherRealm, if you're gonna keep, playing to that mid 90s, 1990 film nostalgia, you may kind of want to sort of, you know, uh, get this costume, get this as a skin alt. You already did it for Raiden, and you did it for Sonya, and you did it for Johnny, and it's been a big hit. So please contact Miss Talisa Soto, right? Contact her people, have her people talk with your people, and please make this a skin for Mortal Kombat 11, right? Make the fans happy. You've made us so upset with most of your choices. Come on, make us happy. Because this is a really cool look, in my opinion. It's very simple, it's black leather corset and everything, but it just looks good. It just works. It's simple, but it's sleek. It's sexy. I like it. We need this skin in the game. Okay? Okay. But as I was saying, right, and Lisa Soto, to my understanding, is Puerto Rican. I think she is, but still, a Latina actress, right? So we have two Latina actresses and one white actress thus far. Across, at this point, would be about 3 years. Because, again, 19, no, about a year, actually, because the game MK2 came out in 94. And then you had MK3 in all those games in 95, 96. Right? And the film came out in 96. Then you had Mortal Kombat Trilogy in 97. So maybe about 3 years. Maybe around 2 to 3 years. Right? But this was kind of like the height of the game's popularity. Right? And what's interesting is that after the success of the film, later depictions of Princess Kitana in games such as MK4 and MK Gold, and pretty much going on to the rest of the Mortal Kombat video games up until Armageddon, which is the end of the original series of games, right? The models, right? The character model, the character design for Princess Kitana would more or less be based on Talisa Soto. Sometimes more, sometimes less, but again had this vaguely um, Latina look to her, right? Which brought her very close, or brought her somewhat close to looking like Miss Soto, for obvious reasons, right? So even in the reboot, right, we have Mortal Kombat 9, right? We have MK10, right? She looks more white in these games, right? But still pretty much is consistent, right? Again, a white woman played the characters in Trilogy in that series of games, right? But we've had a fairly consistent, vaguely kind of white, vaguely Latina, look to her more or less throughout the years, even as her design changed as they moved away from digitized actors, right? So again, this is an image from MK10, right? So then we get to MK11, and suddenly she's Asian. She's suddenly Chinese. Okay, I made a video back when this first dropped explaining why I don't agree with it. But to make a long, and that video is linked in the description if you're interested. But to make a long story short, I found this change to be pointless and arbitrary. I am generally speaking not a fan of race lifts, especially when, as I've shown, there is a consistent history for certain characters. I say fairly consistent, a fairly consistent history for a character's appearance, and to just morph it in such a jarring manner. Again, I just feel it's just pointless. But the character, at least in Mortal Kombat 11, is Asian now. Who knows what she'll look like in 12 if they even get to Mortal Kombat 12, right? But here's the thing: as I've shown, we've had 3 different ethnicities for the character of Princess Kitana, and by extension, Mileena. Latina twice, right? Again, Ketelin, Zamiar, and Talisa Soto. We had one white person in Becky Gable, right? And then again, 9, 10, she looks closer to white than Latina. And now we have Asian for some odd reason. Okay. And now, oh, sorry. Almost forgot about this image. Right, and of course, if you change Kitana's ethnicity, you by extension have to change Mileena's ethnicity, because again, twinsies. But seriously, right now, hold up. Wait a minute, I'm trying to remember. Okay, so here's the thing. Let me just focus on this for a second, because I just remembered. So here's the thing about Kitana and Mileena being race lifted. And here's another thing that kind of irks me about it and what I think they could have done better. And it involves Sindel. I know, I've ranted and gone crazy over this, but I'm not going to rant about her character change. I've said everything I need to say about that. I'm going to talk about her design. Right? Kitana and Mileena, as I just showed, were race lifted to be Asian. The original actress who played Sindel, right, in Mortal Kombat 3 was an Asian woman, right? And I think she's Filipino, right? So here's my question. So if you're going to race lift Kitana and Mileena anyway, why not, as a nod to the original actress in the original portrayal, make Sindel Asian? Make her look Asian too, because she doesn't look Asian. She looks white. She looks like an older white lady, which is no problem, except that, again, her daughters are obviously Asian. Right? So, wouldn't it make more sense for the biological daughter of Queen Sindel and the clone of said biological daughter to look more like their mother? So, wouldn't it make sense to change Sindel's design also to better visually represent that they are all related? And that literally it all really does come back to her because she's the mother. Like that's the way my brain sees it. It's like if you're gonna make them related, make them look related. Now I know some are gonna say, well, she obviously gets the Asian appearance from her father. To which I say, yeah, you're probably right, but we're talking about King Gerard, who we never see, who we only hear about, whose purpose in the story is to be either Sindel's great lost love, right, and the emperor or the ruler of Edenia who was killed by Shao Kahn when Sindel is portrayed as a heroic character, or to be the weak emperor that she helped kill to put Shao Kahn in power, according to MK11. We don't actually see Gerard. We don't get to learn anything about him beyond how he died, and they still haven't figured that out. Who the hell killed this man? Who poisoned him? Who took his head? Like, how? You got like three people claiming claiming to kill him. But anyway, he's not a major factor in the games. He's a little bit of like trivia in the grand scheme of the Mortal Kombat lore. And again, he's not in the games. So when you have the mother and she's been a playable character off and on for like 20 years, and you can actually, you have the artist to make everybody look a certain way, make mother and daughter look like mother and daughter. I'm just saying. Mother, daughter, and clone, I guess you could say. Look like mother, daughter, and clone. Moving on. Right? So, as I was saying, now, we now have what? A fourth ethnicity now in African American, right? Started out as a Latino, was white for a few games, right? And now is Asian, and now we're at black. You see how hard this is getting for me to keep up with this, right? So we're now at our fourth ethnicity, all for the same pair of characters, right? Now I would assume she's also going to play Princess Kitana if Kitana is featured in this movie, but again, I don't understand Hollywood anymore, so who knows? But we're at like four ethnicities, so can you please just choose one and just keep it consistent for the rest of the damn games and for the rest of the franchise? Because this is just getting really, really, really annoying. I can understand race lifts and race swaps in very uncommon circumstances, right, where it makes sense, right? But this isn't a matter of exceptions to the rule anymore. Now it just seems to just be this practice. Hey, there's a light skinned person in this role, yoink, and and we're gonna put a brown person instead for no reason. They've done it plenty of times. But remember, Birds of Prey, right? The black canary who's supposed to be a white, blonde haired, blue eyed woman, right? Now became a light skinned black lady. I'm like, why? Stop. Stop. especially if you're going to go with the representation argument, right? If you're going to go with the representation argument, then if we're going to go with the most recent version of Kitana and Mileena, which is Asian, and you cast a black woman as Mileena and potentially Kitana, aren't you taking at least a dual role, I would imagine? A dual role from a hardworking Asian actress who could use the work? Aren't you hurting Asian representation? Isn't that a no-no in Hollywood? Aren't they always talking about how there aren't enough Asians represented in American media? So why would you do this? Why would you take a role that, visually speaking, is for an Asian woman? Again, it's not like no one knows what these characters look like. They all have established appearances. So why are you doing that? I don't get it. But another thing is that they did arbitrary race lifts back in the mid 90s, well, rather late 90s, and we weren't happy with it. See, this is Jade, or a more recent version of her, right? Jade has, for the most part, been black, right? Since, and the reason I say that is because technically she's a Denian, she's not human, so these type of terms would not apply if you were being serious about it, right? But obviously she looks African American and has so for the majority of, for nearly pretty much every game she's ever been featured in, with the exception of perhaps MK2. But certainly by the time she was brought back in 3 and all those games, she was black. Same thing with Tanya, who debuted in Mortal Kombat 4, right? Always been a black character in the games. Yet, when Mortal Kombat Annihilation came out in 1997, they casted fashion model Irina. How do you say her name? I believe it's Irina. Irina Panteva. Panteva, I think. I'm probably not saying it right. I apologize, but Irina Panteva was cast to play Jade. Again, Jade looks like this. This is how she's pretty much looked more or less throughout the majority of the games. This is what I was anticipating when I saw the film as a 12-year-old back in 1997. And instead, I got this, right? Cast the Asian woman, right? For the character called Jade. Isn't that being more stereotypical than having a black woman who happens to be named Jade for the color? I don't know. That's just me. And I want to be clear. I've got nothing against Miss Pantanova. I don't know how you say her name. I have nothing against her. That film, was bad from the start, and it wasn't her fault, right? I don't blame her. I got no issue with her, but Jade doesn't look like this. It's that simple. Again, there's an established appearance for these characters because they come from another long running medium. Everybody knows what Jade is supposed to look like, and she doesn't look like this, right? And I pretty much feel the same way for the casting of Mileena. I've got nothing against Miss Stringer. I hope that she does well. I think personally she should be cast as either uh, Jade if she's in the movie, or Jackie Briggs, or again if they need a black villainess, cast her as Tanya. But as I think I've made clear through this video, I cannot and do not agree with casting a black woman as the violent savage. And I do not agree with race flipping these two characters for the 4th time in like damn near 30 years. Can we just choose what they look like, establish what they look like, and then just stick with it? Please, I beg of you. But nonetheless, all of my misgivings aside, I sincerely hope that Miss Stringer does well, and that, if you're interested in this film, I hope you enjoy it. I'm just not into it. I'm gonna stick with the 1995 film. That's for me. I'm perfectly happy with it. But if you're interested in this movie, awesome. We just happen to be different. But anyway, that's the overly long video. Please let me know what you think, and I will see you all in the next one. Have a good day or night wherever you are. Bye.